But in reality, people buy because of what that buying process makes them feel. What's up? Good morning, everyone. Jeff Koga here, and I am definitely starting the day off on this beautiful Wednesday later than absolutely usual. But I guess that's kind of the beauty of running your own business is you could start off late, but Wednesdays are typically what I like to call my free days. I want to talk about something. Why shoes make women feel beautiful. What does that mean? Why shoes make women feel beautiful, right? So I got into a conversation yesterday with a potential client, and look, I'm not openly taking on any clients, all right? But this particular person came very, very highly recommended. Says, hey Jeff, this person needs some help. They have a lot of tangible and intangible assets in their business, and I think you can definitely help them out. So the story about why shoes make people feel beautiful is going to boil down and answer the question on why I can say no to so many people that want to work with me, and why I'm very selective of my time on who I speak with as well as who I work with, and it'll tie into also as well as why some people actually have more sales, more revenue, and actually keep more versus other struggling individuals who don't. Okay, so what does this mean on why shoes make a woman feel beautiful? Now, let me ask you a quick question, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, try to answer this as well, okay? And I'm thinking if you're listening to this, you run a business where you sell a product or service, regardless of what industry you're in, okay? It can be real estate, it can be a widget of e-commerce, it can be consulting and services, it can be a digital agency, whatever it is, just think about this as if you're listening to this, and then answer honestly what you think, all right? If you had to pick a customer or client, who would you rather have on a consistent basis for your business? Someone who wants your product or service, or someone who needs your product or service? All right, I hope you got the answer. Now, if I had to guess the right answer, okay, I'll talk about the story in a little bit, and I'll give you the answer with a story. But if I had to guess, you're gonna pick one or the other. Okay, now let me tell you a story and let me give you an example of the scenario, and then from there I'll ask the question again to see if your attitude towards, do you rather have someone who needs your product or service or someone who wants your product or service? So example, okay, I have friends in the photography industry. So do you want someone who wants a nice photo or someone who needs a nice photo? Someone who wants a photographer for their wedding or someone who needs a photographer for their wedding? All right, if you're in the real estate space, do you want someone who wants to sell their house, or do you want someone who needs to sell their house? If you're it's tax season, so if you're a CPA, someone who wants to file their taxes, or someone who needs to file their taxes. Okay, that's a terrible example, but you're starting to get the point. Do you rather have someone, a customer or client on a consistent basis, who wants something or who needs something of yours? Okay, so let me tell you a story, all right? And it's going to tie in beautifully with the shoe scenario on why shoes make a woman feel beautiful. So it is known commonly for most people that or a guy, that there is a type of women out there that likes to buy tons of different kinds of shoes. Would you agree? All right, now because of this new era that we're in, okay, it's not just women anymore, right? There's basically guys that do the same thing, guys that go out and buy shoes, all right, or in this case buy kicks. So for example, like the Jordans or something like that, right? There are people who collect those. Okay, women buy shoes. Okay, but here's the thought process. If you had to ask the question, why do those guys, or in this case, let's use the women for the example, why did that women buy that shoes? Their thought process wasn't, oh, I don't want to walk out barefoot out in the street because I might hurt my feet, or, oh my gosh, I might step on a nail, right? That's not the thought process. Because if that was the thought process on the utility of what a shoe is, which is to actually just protect your feet, right? That's what you would do. But that's not the thought process. The thought process is probably something like this. They'll look at a shoe and they'll be like, oh, wow. They'll look at some type of Jimmy Choo shoe or something like that, right? And they'll look at it and be like, wow, this looks nice. If I put this on, this will make me feel beautiful. And wow, if this makes me feel beautiful, I can be confident. All right? So that's kind of the thought process, probably. I'm guessing. I never put on heels, so I wouldn't be able to answer directly. But let me know if you're a woman, if your wife or something like that, or if any ladies, typically mostly men listen to my show, but if any ladies are listening out there, let me know if that's the case. All right, now let's go to the guy that's buying the Jordans, okay? And his thought process, if the shoes was just a utility and he needs it, okay, he would be like, oh, I need to protect my feet because I don't want to walk out and step on a nail. So I bought a pair of shoes. And not only that, but when are they going to buy their next shoes, right? They're going to look down at their feet and be like, oh, these shoes are comfortable. It's still in good shape. I don't have holes at the bottom. Still got the sole. I don't need to buy shoes, right? Versus the other person who wants the Jordans, okay? Now I'm kind of giving the answer on the wants and need. Will say, oh, I want that Jordan because it's the new one. Oh, no, it's a retro one. Or I want whatever that shoe is that they're collecting, all right? Same thing as that lady that bought the shoes, okay? If the utility of the shoes was to protect your feet, then they'll look down at their feet and they'll be like, oh, okay, these are a little out of shape, these are a little banged up, but hey, I don't need to buy it. Versus women buy shoes because it makes them feel beautiful. So going back to the question I asked on who would you rather have as a customer or a client? Would you rather have someone that wants your product or services or someone who needs your product and service? Did your answers change? All right. And this is something that I learned at an early age, the wants versus the needs. And a new entrepreneur can't understand this concept. I don't know, for whatever reason, it's really difficult for them to understand and look at the world that way from wants and needs. And here's a prime example, because I have the biggest #1 challenge in the space of real estate, right? People always in the real estate says, well, I want someone that needs to sell because it's a lot easier. So they go after these so-called people that are in distress, so-called people who needs to sell right now or needs to buy because their families is expanding. And what typically happens is when that happens, it becomes only a one-sided transaction, meaning that person is only going to do one transaction. And not only that, but that individual will typically never refer you business because they just did a transaction based on their need because they needed to do it. Versus someone who wants to possibly sell a house, someone who wants to possibly buy a house, right? They are going to be probably your biggest individuals who's going to refer you more business. Because if they want something, then you have to talk to them differently versus someone who needs something. And this is the difference between when I'm teaching people how to be sales guys, right? I say, stop being an order taker, right? Because a lot of quote-unquote people in sales, right, think that they're really good at sales because they're actually only talking to people who need something. So if you're talking to people who just need something, then you really don't have to sell them much. You're just basically like, here it is, and you give it to them, and then guess what? They take it or they don't take it. That's it. But for whatever reason, if you're in that environment, you don't understand the difference between want and need, especially if someone calls you and you can't tell if they need it and that's why they called you, or they want it and that's why they called you, then you start believing in the crap that you tell yourself that I'm a great sales guy or a saleswoman, when in reality you're order taking, right? So here's another example, right? So for example, I'm going to use an example of a department store for the sake of example, and then I'll kind of tie in a real world experience that I've had in the financial world. Okay, so imagine like you were a sales guy or a saleswoman at a department store, right? And the person walks in, and you see this guy, and instantly you thin slice him. Right? Why? Is because it's called a first impression, right? There's something called first impression, so there's something called first impression. So you're thin slicing people. So you look at him, he's dressed nice, right? okay? He's wearing some Gucci loafers, all right? Wearing some designer belt, and you're like, okay, good. And the person, you walk up to them, and you say, welcome. Is this the first time being here today? Now, there's a couple of reasons why you want to say this is the first time being here today, right? Is because it's a yes or no answer, and that based on that yes or no answer, you can pivot to whatever you want. It says no. Oh, great. Well, let me tell you about what we have going on, special today. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, great. Then you must know that we occasionally have specials. So let me show you what we got. Okay, so again, that alone is an opening line that actually helps you control. And this is the reason why if I'm at a department store, I know who's been trained well or who hasn't. Because if someone comes up and someone says to a department store or whatever it is and says, well, how may I help you? Just looking around. The conversation stops. You got absolutely no way to go anywhere, right? So pay attention when you go to a department store, because if you go to a high-end department store, typically they're really, really trained well, and they'll ask you that question of, hey, is this the first time here? The guy says, oh, yes, it is. I'm looking for a pen. And you looked at him, you thin sliced him. He was wearing nice shoes, nice loafers, designer, clean. So you say, great. So he says, well, here, let me go ahead and show you this pen. It's a one-of-a-kind limited edition. And then you say, and you see, it has great weight. It has great counterbalance in this pen. And because of that, not only can you sign any of your contracts or any deals that you might be doing, and it has great weight so your hand doesn't get tired. But look, you see that little sparkle there? That's the reason why it's a limited edition, because it has these precious stones taken from the Amazon jungle and the Amazon River. Now, obviously, I'm making this up as I'm driving, okay? And he says, here, and you hand it over to him, and he puts it in his hand. He says, wow, this feels really good. How much is this? And then you say, well, because it's a limited edition and because it has these counterweight balances in your pen that magically feels like you're holding a piece of, a piece of whatever, and stones from the Amazon River, the price is $2,995. And he goes, wow, I didn't expect to spend that much here today. And as a sales guy, he stays quiet and he counts in his head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the guy says, well, I do need this pen. Let's do it. Great. Now, here's a question that I have. What do you do after this? A, congratulate him on his great investment that he did. 2, take him to the register to check him out. 3, take him to the register to check him out and congratulate him on his great investment, and put him on your mailing list so you can talk to and communicate with them later on. Or the fourth one, none of the above. So I'll say it again. 1, do you congratulate him on his great investment? Shake his hand. 2, do you take him to the register and check him out? 3, do you take him to the register, check him out, congratulate him on his great investment, and then put him on your mailing list? Or 4, none of the above. Now, if you're following along on what I'm saying, okay, the correct answer is 4, none of the above. And why is it none of the above? Is because clearly you thin sliced this individual, knowing the fact that he may be a premium buyer. You offered one of the highest actual product in the department store, right? This pen only sells maybe once every 2 weeks, and this guy just said once, hesitated once, and then said okay. So the real answer is you sell him more stuff. So after he looks at it, he says, let's do it. And then you say, well, great. Well, here, let me show you one more thing. And then you reach down and grab an actual pencil. And you put the pencil next to each other, the pen, and you say, you see, this pen comes with a complementary pencil that, as you can see, the design matches. So when you have to use something where you may want to erase or you may want to just have for notes, you have a pencil that's a matching set. Now, if you actually invest in this today, then I'll throw in a leather case absolutely for free. Normally, this leather case will cost $295, but because you're buying the pen and the pencil, then obviously you want to have a case with that. And then you take the pen, and then you take the pencil, you put it in the leather case, and you hand it over to him, and he said, hey, so how does that feel? The guy says, wow, this feels pretty good. And then he goes, well, how much is the pencil? And then you say, well, the pencil is $1,997. But because you're buying the pen already, and I'm going to throw in the actual leather case, I'll give you a 10% discount. And this 10% discount ended last week, but because you're getting this, I'll go ahead and make an exception and put that 10%. How does that sound? Let's do it. Okay? That's the right answer. Now, here's the reason why, okay? You might think if I'm saying that, right? Like you're a sleazy salesperson, okay? But in reality, people buy because of what that buying process makes them feel, okay? Just like the shoes, just like what I said about heels, okay? Women buy heels and nice shoes because it makes them feel beautiful. So if a buyer is in a buying frenzy and you do not offer that, you're doing them a disservice, all right? And that's where you have to start looking at your business like that. And because clearly that individual that's buying this pen, bought this pencil, and then they got a free leather case, okay? Did they need an actual $2,000 pen? Now, I know it's an example, okay? No, they didn't. She can just go to whatever it is and get a 15 cents pen, okay? So they didn't need it, but they wanted it because of what it makes them feel. So again, look at your business. Let me know in the comment box, who have you been selling to? People that need stuff or want stuff? And this is one of the number one reason when it comes to even like me working with clients, okay? I never ever want to work with someone who needs my services. Why? Is because I know they're going to be in the pain in the freaking butt. Versus people who want, right? So, for example, people who need more leads, all right? Meaning that they probably have a cash flow problem in their business. Absolutely a cash flow problem in their business, okay? Meaning that for them to pay me my actual fee, my retainer, they're going to look at it as an expense versus an investment. Versus someone who wants more leads typically means that they actually have already a great business and they just simply wants to take it to the next level. So those are people that are going to look at the actual retainer they're paying me as a want. As an investment versus an expense. And this is the reason why you have to identify who your customer and clients are. Do they want your service or do they need it? Think about that for a second. All right, I got to go in. Getting a tad bit late here. Hope you enjoyed this. This is what I got. I'll talk to you later. And if this is the first time you're catching this, make sure you go to jeffkoga.live and watch me grind it out because the grind don't stop. Seriously.